The playoffs. We got the play-in has been going on, and now we got the playoffs officially going to start. And numbers have come out, and Adam Silver tried to put some lipstick and earrings on the pig and was happy that the ratings only went down, Kelvin, 2%. That's nationally. The scary numbers overall down 13% this year, TV ratings. And locally, there was a story out. Some teams saw 50% drops in which is just a crazy number. And you ready for the cities that had that big of a drop?
Yeah, these are kind of crazy.
Chicago and Miami. Like, these are places where they've won championships. They got a basketball tradition. And those two cities have 50% drops on local broadcasts. So there's a lot of fat there to chew. And I'm just wondering, with the play-in, how that goes. You know, it's been around for a while. Is the NBA in a good place? Because I don't think it is, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
I think it has devalued the regular season. Too many teams, the play-in, everybody's under 500. What was the regular season for? Like that's my issue. So you're telling me not to watch or not pay attention because everybody's going to make the playoffs anyway. I don't even understand it. 20 of the 30 teams make the playoffs. So we're playing 82 games to eliminate 10 teams. Is that what we're doing? Mm-hmm. Why not put everybody in and just have a tournament? Like all 30 teams, if that's what you want to do. They're probably afraid of that, and people really won't watch. I think that you got to make the regular season worth something. I got to pay attention. Where's my team? You know what I mean? Oh, this big matchup. If you're a certain amount of teams with 20 teams making the playoffs, even the Suns, as bad of a year as they had a chance to make the playoffs. Remember that? Like, they weren't totally out of it, and they were bad. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm a guy who was a big NBA guy, not just as a guy who covered the sport since 1987, but somebody who watched basketball the entire game from 2-0. You know, I watched all the matchups, all the games. A lot of games guys aren't playing. And I know they were talking about cracking down on load management. Kelvin, there's still a lot of games where guys don't play. And they'll say something's wrong with them or whatever it is. But you know it's, they had a back-to-back last night on the road and he's taken off. And I just think that it's a turnoff for fans. I really do. And I get it. It was worse in the beginning of the season. Remember, it was down the national. We're like down 20 or 30%, the national rating.
Yeah. So
where are you on the league? And I think it still has issues.
I think it along with anything right now is struggling. If you're talking the league, if you're talking cable television, if you talk let's not talk Hollywood and the movie industry. Man, they going through it right now. So I think that's a big thing a lot of folks are trying to figure out as we've entered into this streaming social media era. How the heck do I take this product, this service, these goods, and then make it translate social media-wise, streaming-wise, this digital era, this digital space? So I do think the league clearly was struggling, but I think a couple of things have helped the league. Number one, Luka. That was nobody saw that trade coming. I mean, everywhere I was going, there were conversations. Everybody's watching the games. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's blown away. It's leading all conversations in all sports. If it's a sports show, that is what they've talked about the last couple of months. So I think that spiced things up, almost to the tune of people cracking jokes saying Adam Silver was on the bat phone, like, hey, spice some things up, get rid of Luka. And so I definitely think that helped. What I also think helped was having a couple of young teams all of a sudden be good, right? Oklahoma City, you're like, oh, man, this is a fun team to, kind of keep an eye on. The resurgence of New York, not that they've been great, but just the fact that they're, around being the Knicks. So I think you have that. I think a team like a market like Detroit, as you know, that when they get going, it's pretty fun. Not sucking, tripling their win total. That is very helpful. And lastly, a couple other things, Rob, I think to keep note of. You have the potential this postseason to finally have the passing of the guard, or at least the great beginnings of it. If SGA, likely the MVP, gets to the finals, if SGA were to beat LeBron, if SGA were to beat Steph, and you start to say, oh, he is now one of the faces. If Ant were to do what we thought he might do this year and play better, but he were to beat the Lakers, he were to talk smack to LeBron. He said it. He already said it. I want to be LeBron has been one of the best players ever. I want to be the one to put him in the casket and get him out of here. And so if you start to have these young whippersnappers who want to talk smack, who love it, who want to own it, if Ja Morant all of a sudden and the Grizzlies were able to get in the playoffs and make some noise again, I think that's good that you can say the young boys are here. The Pistons are claiming it. Kay Cunningham saying, I want to be the absolute best player in the league. These are things that can give you hope to me. And lastly, Rob, I do think we had Mark Stein on. We had a couple of people who were were people who understand the money of this all. One thing we got to look at, the NBA is dwarfing other leagues when it comes to streaming, when it comes to highlights, when it comes to social media. I was looking at some numbers here, Rob. So when you're looking at, let's say, Instagram, the NFL as an entire league, which is the biggest by far league, has 31 million followers. MLB, which is obviously a massive league, 12 followers. Steph Curry himself has 58 million. LeBron James had 159 million followers. Pat Mahomes is the best player, you can argue. Lamar Jackson, if you want to argue. You're talking about Lamar Jackson with 4 million followers. Patrick Mahomes with 7. I'm rounding up.
Yeah, but those people watch the games, though.
No, so where I'm going with this is, as we heard Scott Boras on. Scott Boras, the great, maybe the best agent in all of sports, said one thing that the NBA is doing right, they mastered the streaming. They've mastered the digital space, and MLB is behind that. The NFL is trying to catch up with that. And so I do think some of these numbers are slightly skewed in that NBA is the younger of all the sports. It's the youngest fan base. They know where their fans are. So I do take these numbers with a massive grain of salt, maybe a teaspoon of salt, because I do think they know where their audience is. A younger audience is consuming differently than maybe you or I are.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I still think that.
I mean, that's just facts, though. Those are numbers.
No,
data.
I'm not talking, but I'm saying you can't tell me that the NBA is sitting there going, oh, we're happy. They had Luka and LeBron join together, and TNT still saw a 7% drop. The same thing, ESPN was flat, like as far as their numbers. That should have boosted it. That should have helped, don't you think, when you have stars of that magnitude in the same.
Yeah, but that's the last month and a half, 2 months, though. I totally get what you're saying.
All I'm saying is like I'm not saying that they have to have set TV break records or whatever, but you got to be disheartened at how bad that people stop watching or decided that they would rather not. And I understand looking at social media and watching a 1-minute video or a dunk or something, but that is not. Ultimately, they make their bread and butter on what they can do when they sell TV rights, and they just got a new deal and all that. But you got to be careful that you don't make it to that people don't feel compelled to watch. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, yes, all that other stuff is great. I don't got my head in the sand. All great. But I'm talking about where you set the league up where you're not paying attention, or the league, what's happening during the regular season isn't important, or you're waiting till after football season to watch your first NBA. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that.
No, listen, I
those
totally
are the things that you don't want.
You're like, because it used to be Christmas Day, which, all right, I give it. That's a month and a half, 2 months in the season. But now it's like,
it's getting pushed back
past
even
All-Star
further.
break. When do I want to get into it? And so I think that's why, Rob, I'll say this again quickly. I think this is why this postseason will be big, meaning if these young stars show up, if there's beef in a good way, like meaning competitive beef, if there's rivalries, if there's smash talk, like it becomes engaging. Like, oh, these young guys really want it, and they're gonna, be the new carriers of the torch. If you're just there and they don't really care, there's no real fire, nobody, then I agree. But this playoffs can really charge things up to where you can say, SGA and the Oklahoma City Thunder, are they here to stay? Ant-Man and amped it up some. You can say, okay, New York is back, baby. You can say the Pistons are back. This can be huge. They have to capitalize on it moving into the next season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just feel like you got to make the regular season mean something. That's all. That's my. They got great players, young players. You can't make it to where the regular season.
Rivalries and beef helps with
Yes,
that. You know what I mean? You gotta have the juice.
Right. Like there are games that you want to see, but how many times do we turn on games and nobody's playing? You know what I mean?
So I have no argument with that. I have no argument.
That's the biggest argument.
You need Wemby healthy so you can say Wemby going up against, Ant-Man. You're like, oh, okay, I'm going to see that.
I want to watch that, right?
Yeah.
Or you want to see guys go at each other. All right.